Welcome to The Coach Approach, an SWC Carter-Rocks podcast for maximizing your personal and professional growth. I'm Jamie Wilson, Carter-Rocks Coaching Program Manager. Join us each month for The Coach Approach to hear leaders at all levels shed light on what coaching is and the amazing benefits it offers. Listen as they share their personal testimonies about how partnering with a coach was transformational by using self-reflection to discover hidden talents, higher potential, and even obstacles that once prevented their forward movement. So whether you're ready to go to the next level, seeking a promotion, or want more self-confidence, the Coach Approach is the right place for you. Joining us today is Angela Falcini. Angela currently serves as an operations research analyst and coaching program manager for the Naval Information Warfare Center Pacific, which is also known as NIWC PAC and Echelon 3 Command under NAVWAR. She will be talking about growing a culture of coaching, as well as how coaching has personally impacted her. Angela, thank you so much for taking the time to share with us today.
Well, thanks, Jamie.
Would you mind sharing your personal testimony about how coaching has impacted you before we dive into the topic of growing a culture of coaching?
Oh, you bet. So, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, I started my career as an Air Force officer. And so while I was in uniform, I was a program manager. And in that role, I, was part of programs such as building out aircraft that were ISR platforms for the Air Force. I was part of an environmental program for a while as well. So everything from environmental programs to comm systems, C2 systems, C4 ISR systems, and ISR platforms. I have been a part of them. And one of the components that I noticed as a leader in those teams is really trying to figure out how I can help my folks become the best versions of themselves and becoming aware enough of myself to become a better version of myself as well. And for many years, I read articles and books and took courses and whatnot to try to learn how to communicate that more effectively, to learn how to become more aware and help support people in their growth. And back in 2016, determined that my next path was to become an actual certified coach. And so I went through a whole program to learn the skills on how to be a coach. And that really impacted me, not only for learning a lot more about myself throughout that program, but also as a leader in figuring out how to be a force multiplier for my teams in helping them overcome some obstacles, whether that's as individuals, for example, if they'd like to move on to higher level positions, increased responsibility and authority, but for some reason had something holding them back, helping them overcome that, or helping with team dynamics and noticing how a team is or is not communicating with one another, is not engaging with one another, and identifying what traits teams have that can actually propel them for increased trust, for working better together to really meet their milestones and deliver it on what it is that they say whatever their project might be. So coaching has been a phenomenal impact to me as an individual, but also in taking my conversations with people to the next level and actually allowing them to feel heard, allowing them to feel supported, allowing them to know that they are valued and acknowledging where they are in their journey and helping them figure out where they'd like to be and how to get there.
That's awesome. I love that story. So that's great. So as we transition now, you've talked a lot about that. It sounds like you've already discussed your topic, growing a culture of coaching. You've already been doing that, right, for many years. So how did you transition that into your job at NAVWAR?
When I went through the coaching certification program, I didn't realize it was going to become a program at NIWC PAC. I just thought I was kind of doing it for myself. And when I engaged with my leadership about it and said, "Hey, I'm doing this. This is the program I'm involved in," and I'm noticing that our most senior leaders have the opportunity to gain coaches either through DAU or through FEI for those who have gone through the Federal Executive Institute. They have access to a handful of coaching sessions when they leave. We had an external contract for some of our senior leaders to get them coaching as well. I said, but what about everybody else?
Right.
That's a small percentage of our workforce. And I'm just wondering what it would be like if we had coaching available to everybody below our senior executives, and what that demand might be and what that impact might be. And so from there, my leadership basically gave me a little bit of money to start that process. And we noticed quickly that demand for coaching exceeded the supply of my time. And at that time, we only had one other coach within the command. And subsequently, we've grown a whole program within NIWC Pacific that really has stemmed across NAVWAR that supports not only individual coaching, but team coaching and group coaching. And then we've actually, as you've been involved in as well,
Yes.
developing out a coaching skills for leaders workshop that for those who want to understand how to embrace coach-like skills, but don't necessarily have the time or energy or funding even to go through a whole coach certification program. And so we have grown, we have over 40 coaches now within NIWC PAC, and we're hitting over 60 within NAVWAR itself, to include headquarters and then NIWC PAC and NIWC LANT and a few other units within NAVWAR, where we're really building, like I said, a culture of coaching where we can have folks that are certified coaches that understand the concepts of coaching and what it means to be a coach, how to structure that kind of conversation. And we know that it's a different hat than it would be to be a mentor or therapists, right? That's outside of our, we don't even play that on TV, right?
Right.
But what we want to do is, because coaching, as I said, is such a force multiplier, we want to apply those skill sets in our roles within NIWC PAC and beyond.
Yes. And the coaching skills for leaders, folks out there, is absolutely amazing. It's amazing what they've done with it. I love listening in to what they've already done, and they're working to improve it. And sometimes I look at it and I'm like, it's almost difficult to improve it because it's already so awesome. The other piece I want to bring out to the folks is that the NAVWAR PAC, they service, am I correct, Angela, 13,000 employees, right?
Yeah. So across NAVWAR itself, there are 13,000 civilians. Exactly.
Yes. And how many have, or well, a guesstimate, have taken advantage of the coaching program?
Oh, hundreds
Yes.
have taken advantage of the coaching program. And at NIWC LANT, there has been a coach that they employed for years. Dr. Scott Dreyer has been a coach at NIWC LANT for many years. They saw this need within their leadership team, even before I started, at NIWC PAC, to have the ability to provide coaching services. Because as you and I know, Jamie, a coach conversation is one where the individual can really come with, whatever is on their mind, whether they want to improve as an individual, whether or not they want to create an extraordinary plan and future for their team, for themselves, for their projects, for the entire command or center, right? The sky is kind of limitless when it comes to what the topics are, right?
It's exactly what I was thinking. It's limitless. Yeah, there's no little box they have to fit in. open game, right? They
It
can
is
choose
open
whatever they
game.
want. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's what's so amazing about it. And it brings so much freedom, and it's transformational. And you have to experience it to really understand it.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. That's very true. I think one of the pieces that I've noticed as well is becoming a seasoned coach.
Mhm.
Some people get what they need out of just a few times meeting with a
You're
coach,
right.
right?
It's
They
true.
have an objective that they want to achieve in that coaching relationship.
Mhm.
And it might be something as, I say as simple, but this is actually pretty complex, as figuring out a better organizational structure for themselves,
Right.
or why they addressing an upcoming crucial conversation, or getting ready for an interview and getting themselves ready mentally for the next job or transition or something along those lines. And
Very true.
it could be very event driven, and might only take a handful of times to meet with your coach. And others would have an enduring relationship with their coach.
Yes.
There are some people that I've been coaching for years now because they always want to be addressing something, and the subject changes, right? But they want to continue addressing something in their growth as a leader and as an individual.
Yes, that is very true. And I've had the same experience. I had one individual that I coached for 2 months. That's all they needed. They had one goal, they met that goal, and they moved forward, and that was it. But I have some that have been coached for 6 months, some 8. I think I had one individual maybe 3 months, but I have a couple that have been coached for over a year. Now, they started out being coached every 2 weeks, and now it's few and far between, maybe 4 to 6 weeks. It's whenever, right? So it just depends.
It really
Right?
depends. I think some of the barriers I've noticed for people to really lean into coaching, I've noticed a few. One is, boy, I have been this way as well, where I just want to figure this out on my own. I don't want to solicit help. I want to be able to figure out why I can't do, X, Y, or Z. What is blocking me? I want to figure it out on my own. And there's a lot of value. I think about the Nike phrase, just do it, right?
Right.
Well, I want to change that to say, just do it with others. Like, in other words, just don't do it alone. Just don't do it alone. Do it.
And that's
as
that's
a collaborative.
the great thing about coaching, because as the coachee, they are the expert. They are figuring it out. We're just asking powerful questions to get them there.
Right. That's right.
So that's the amazing piece about that. But yeah. So, well, was there anything else that you wanted to share with us today?
Yeah. The one thing that I wanted to, I guess, point out is, you're right. We have a coaching skills for leaders workshop that we're actually, building out and then advocating and sharing across the Navy and with the DoD as well, as far as our content and whatnot, once we get it really kind of formalized. But there's other resources as well if people really want to learn more about coaching and what it is, and maybe even understand a skill or two for themselves. There's a great book that takes an airplane ride to read. It's called The Coaching Habit. And in The Coaching Habit, there's skills that the author talks about that really helps understand how to formulate conversations, right? So I'd recommend folks pick up that book, The Coaching Habit, and just read it. And for those who might also want to figure out how to bring coach-like skills to their teams, I recommend a book called The Culture Code, where Daniel Coyle talks about his research on the best teams across many industries and what common skills and traits they have. So those 2 books I would recommend people.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Well, Angela, thank you so much for taking the time to share with us today. So I really appreciate it. Your valuable insights are they're phenomenal. And I would also like to thank all of you listeners out there for joining this episode of The Coach Approach, brought to you by NSWC CarterX Coaching Program. If you want to learn more about coaching, visit NSWC CarterX Coaching Program SharePoint site. If you want to request a coach, contact Jamie Wilson at 301-335-0492. Thank you and have a great day.